of freedom. And because Mary and I have lived that life, we want it for you. Now, it's quite a sort of serious way of starting this presentation from me, but a couple of things are in my mind here today. Firstly, I have to try and speak. I was talking to Mag earlier, one of the guys. Where are you, Mag? Where he said, "Can you?" He said, "Can you speak a bit more slowly so that we can follow?" I just followed James Lee. He talks at the speed of light, and if you can understand James, you can understand me. Yeah. Now, and of course, I speak proper English, not that American stuff. So, anyway, I want to say a few things here from the stage for you today, because Mary and I have travelled 8,000 miles to share time with you, and we've got a couple of weeks of travelling in front of us. We're going up to Johor tomorrow, and then we're off to Penang, to KL, and then we're going to Hong Kong, and then back to Singapore. So by the end of that, we will need a dream trip. And having already had my photograph taken 715,000 times, I guess once we hit 10 million photos, it'll be time for a break. So we've been to Asia before, we know how this works. You're not as bad as the Japanese, though. When I was general manager of New Skin, I ran New Skin for 3 years. When we opened Japan, the Japanese used the old-fashioned cameras, not the mobile. There were no mobile phones in those days. They put a pile of cameras in the middle of the floor, and then you'd have your photograph taken, and as they used each camera and took several photos, they'd move them to another pile, which was kind of used cameras. We've done that one, now this one. And there would be piles of cameras, one after the other. You'd have to stand there and have your photos taken. At least now we've got, iPhones and stuff, so you're all doing it at the same time, which just speeds it up a little bit. So my job here today with you and for you is to try, in my own way, if I can, number one, to give you hope, because if an ex-policeman from London can do this, right, because I was a copper for 8 years in London. I was traffic patrol, by the way. Bikes, the nastiest type of coppers you can possibly imagine. A really nasty piece of work. You did not want to upset me because I would take your driving licence. So, if a young copper from London can do this, then you can do this, because this is not rocket science. This is not complex. This is just a way of doing business in an industry, network marketing, combined with another industry, which is travel. Travel is the largest industry on the planet, and growing faster still today, even today, than any other industry in the world. Combined with network marketing, which after Mary and I's 35 years we know works, put those two together and you have a formula. Now, somebody was going to do this one day, and I need to give you a little bit of a story, a bit of background, because I want to share with you some perspective. Because it's all very well to show you videos, and if you're new here today, and excitement, and you should be here banners, but right at the core of this, you have to discuss with yourself whether it's genuinely possible that a business of this type can succeed, has succeeded, will succeed, and what's the background to its viability and its credibility. To do that, I can only again go back to experience, which I talked about earlier, and that's my job, that's my objective being here with you today. And to do that, I go back to 2009, because I started with World Ventures as a consultant. I was not a rep. You see, Mary and I have been doing this crazy stuff at that point nearly 30 years. And pretty much, I was the master distributor of another network marketing company. And I've been, in my career, with 5 companies, either corporate or field, that have gone through $1 billion of sales. Not because I was there, but when I was with them, they went through $1 billion, one of which was New Skin. So I was around when that happened, so I saw what that looked like. I know what they smell like, what they walk like, what they talk like. I know what their structure has to be. I know how they operate. So having had that experience, I know in my own tiny mind when another one turns up. And they don't turn up very often. Once every 10 to 15 years, you have a direct selling company or network marketing company that has that potential. So back in 2009, I was doing some consultancy work master distributor of another network marketing company, a telecoms company. I've been at the top of 3 companies at that point, number 1 income earner for 3 companies up at that point. So we had done quite well. We already had the toys. This is important for you to understand because we weren't looking for an opportunity. Mary and I already had 3 homes. I've got 7 cars, Aston Martins, Jaguars, all that stuff. All the toys you're supposed to have. So, you don't have to have them, but if you're me, you do. So, we've done that. We're spending about 3 months of the year in Florida and playing a lot of golf and basically living the lifestyle. And I'm doing this bit of consultancy work. What happened was, it was April of 2009. I was in Dallas, Texas with a company called Electrolux. How many of you have heard of Electrolux? Yeah, most people have. It's a global name. They're not called that anymore, by the way. They're owned by a company called Ayerus, A-E-R-U-S. And that company is headed up by a Fortune 500 chief executive called Joe Urso. Now, Joe knew me through my reputation. And Joe contacted me and said, Peter, would you come over to Dallas? We want to talk about Electrolux becoming a multi-level marketing company. And I thought, that actually sounds quite sexy. So I thought, okay, I'll come, Joe. And he paid for me to fly over. I went over there, sat down with him for 3 days at board meetings with Electrolux to discuss multi-level Electrolux. As you know, they didn't go multi-level. If you'd been there for the 3 days with me, you'd know why, all right? Because you're dealing with people who have a corporate mindset. When they look at network marketing, they just don't get it, don't understand how this works. And I spent 3 days trying to educate them, and at the end of it, I lost the will to live. So I said, okay, I can't do that anymore. Joe, I'm going back to England, call me if you're interested. Oh, yeah, okay. So I was at the Hilton in Dallas, and a friend of mine lives in Dallas called Kyle Lowe. How many of you know Kyle? Yeah? New people in the room, that won't mean much to you, but he is the Vice President of International for World Ventures. Super guy, I've known him 15 years. So what happened was, I was in Dallas and I was going back to the airport because I was flying back down to Sarasota, where Mary was patiently waiting for me sitting by the swimming pool. And I said to Kyle, give me a lift back to the airport and we'll catch up. I haven't seen you for a couple of years and I'll buy you breakfast. He said, okay, fine. So he picked me up at the Hilton on the way back to the airport. I said to him, what are you doing now? And he said, I'm working with a company called World Ventures. Now you have to understand my background I've been Direct Selling Association, World Federation, DSA. I've operated World Federation, DSA in the UK, Australia and Germany. And I've also been United Kingdom Council Direct Selling Association and DSA Legal Task Force. What James talked about earlier, when I was a corporate officer, my years with New Skin, I sat on a legal task force because in those years, 1995 to 98, network marketing was almost outlawed in Europe. We almost lost it because there was a few idiot companies in Europe who were doing really stupid things. And the authorities, the government, obviously the government bodies at the time, wanted to outlaw network marketing. They actually attacked us and said, right, we've had enough of this. The pharmaceutical industry was behind it. And they funded the money to stop us. And what they basically wanted to do was destroy any chance of network marketing ever appearing in Europe again. It was a pretty dramatic period of time. And we were very worried because I was obviously corporately involved. It was our livelihood. And some idiots were going to take it away from us. And in every industry there are idiots. And there are idiots in this industry. And I unfortunately, in my career, have met a lot of them. And there are still some out there. You can never get rid of these people because that's the world we live in. There's good and there's bad, okay, and everything. So, I'll get this. This is important. This story is important for you to understand the whys of why we're all here today. So because of my background, I said to Kyle, World Ventures, what, the travel industry, World Ventures, that company. I'd heard of them. And he said, yeah. He said, I'm working with them. And I went, Kyle, I've known you a long time, mate. I've got to get out of that, it's a scam. And he said, well, why is it a scam? I said, they're all scams. All travel companies in network marketing are scams. They're all operating, and one company at that particular point in time, 2009, had just actually been the directors had been arrested for their behaviour, because what they were doing is they were pretending they were a travel business that was able to, but they were actually buying products from outside that they didn't control, and they were selling them to their reps, and it was a mess. So what happened was, every one of them was like this, and I said, no, Carl. And he said, no, Peter, this is different. I said, what's different about it? And he said, it's different. He said, I know the owners, I know some of the reps, I know their strategy, I know where the product's coming from. I said, Kyle, you are mentally ill if you stay there. And he said, Peter, look, they're only up the road, they're based in Dallas, come and meet them, and then I'll take you to the airport. I said, no, Carl, take me to the airport. I'm going back to Florida. He said, no, come on. I said, no, Kyle, take me to the airport. I'm going back to Florida. So we went to the airport, had a bit of breakfast, I went back to Florida. But because I've known Kyle Lowe for such a long time, I also know Kyle is an incredibly intelligent man. If you don't know Kyle and you get to meet him, this is a man that's got 2 MBAs, speaks Mandarin, an American that speaks Mandarin, right? This is a guy who is so intelligent, he shakes. He's only about that big, right? Probably because he's got such a heavy brain, he never got off, you know. Well, to me, most people are only that big anyway. But, particularly when I'm in Asia, sorry, I didn't mean that. But, the thing is that, I'm thinking, Carl's not stupid, and I've known him and if he is doing this, he's seen something. So I start doing some investigation, I'll make a few phone calls. I'm back in England, I'm ringing up some friends. I've got some friends in the industry, I know some people, legislators, etc. So, what do you know about World Ventures? Well, small company, hasn't been around very long, do travel. I said, yeah, and? That's it really, nothing particularly exciting. They're in America, they're trying to get off the ground, doing a few bob, they're okay. A few bob is a bit of money, by the way. And I said, what about these guys that own it, Mike Asquay and Wayne? Oh yeah, nothing particularly exciting, not dynamic, but nothing negative, nothing bad. So because there was nothing bad, there was nothing, I thought, okay, let's just keep an eye on them. In June of 2009, Carl rang me and he said, we're going to be in London, the owners are going to be there, would you like to come and meet us, have coffee, have a chat? I said, well, you're in my hometown, I was born in London. I said, you're in my hometown, I'll come and see you. So, why not? Because I'm still intrigued. I'm going to find out what's wrong with this outfit, and I'm going to stop them. Right? So, I went up to London, met with them, sat down, I met Marcus, I already knew Marcus Setter, met Marcus Setter, saw Mike Asquay, Mike Putnam, Matt Morris, Kyle was there, we had a chat. Now I was the guy, you've got to remember this, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking to people at that point that when I started in network marketing, they were still learning to walk, right? So therefore, I'm talking to young 30-somethings and going, really? Oh yeah, how are you going to do that then? Are you going to be international, are you? Right, okay, how are you going to do that then? And they went, we don't know. Okay, you don't know. So how would you approach it? What would you do? And they said, well, we were hoping you might help us. And I thought, I can't argue with that. That's respectful. So I said, if you come to Europe, I don't know why I said this. If you come, I sound like an idiot saying it again. If you come to Europe and you mess around in this industry, because I spent 4 years trying to stop this industry being shut down. If you come to Europe and you mess around like every other American multi-level marketing company that comes to Europe, I know the people that will shut you down. Do you understand me? And they looked at me and went, it's like I was scolding little children, you know. And the reason I was doing this, guys, is this. My brain was split right down the middle now. One side I'm thinking, I've got to stop this. And the other side was saying, the reason you want to stop this, Peter, is because you actually quite like it, and if it works, it could be huge. So I've got this conflict in my head between, no, please tell me this isn't the one, right? Please tell me this is not a good idea. The more I talk to them, the more I like them. What I also did in June of 2009, which I didn't disclose until sometime afterwards, I took a position in the network just in case. Because I'm not that stupid. And I sat with Matt Morris and I said to Matt, you know what, you're just about to go international, so what I'll do is I'll be sponsored by you, yeah? And I'll go there. And he said, yeah, sure. Interestingly enough, don't tell anybody I've done that because I'm still with this other company and blah, blah, blah. So, but just in case you guys get this right, this could be so sexy it's not even funny. And I went back home and thought about it, and anyway, get this story moving. It's all relevant, this, by the way. Over the next sort of 6 months, I started working with them because what happened was they asked me to work with Kyle on putting a business plan together for international expansion. And we talked about UK, Germany, and so on and so forth. No Asia in those days, forget it. But Asia was beyond their wildest dreams. They didn't even know where Asia was. So we were literally just talking through Europe. And then what happened was, in the December of 2009, I got a phone call. I was in Florida again with Mary. I got a phone call out of the blue. Kyle said, are you in the States? I said, yeah, I'm in Florida. He said, do you want to come up to Dallas? He said. I said, why would I want to come up to Dallas? He said,